I'm not gonna lie, man. This is the most boring kind of video that we can make, but it's one that we gotta talk about because the Vancouver Canucks trade plan. It's in motion here. And no, we're not talking about Shane Wright. That's a video for another day. We can probably dive into whether or not Vancouver should go after him at some point. But Thomas Drance spoke about the Vancouver Canucks on The Athletic in an article earlier this week, talking about the particular names that Vancouver is likely to depart with soon. It should go without saying that Teddy Blueger, David Kampf, and Evander Kane are all players that do not factor into Vancouver's plans beyond the trade deadline. That's it. That's the video. We're going to wrap it up now. Okay, just kidding. Let's dive into each of these guys individually. So if any lurkers, any fans of other teams are checking out this video wanting to see what it is a Blueger, a Kampf, or a Kane can do for your team, we'll try to answer that here. I don't think it's really that special, but still. Okay, I gotta stop with this sort of attitude. Nah, we don't have to degrade the Vancouver Canucks players, man. They're already last in the league. Anyways, each of these guys, their contracts are expiring at the end of the year. Kampf, 1.1 mil. Kane, 5.125 mil. Teddy Blueger, 1.8 mil. Honestly, this Blueger contract was seen as a very big steal earlier on in his signing days with the Vancouver Canucks. That 23-24 year with Garland and Joshua was absolutely redonkulous. And there were all the right things for Teddy Blueger in this stint here too. The fact that the guy was a Stanley Cup champion with the Vegas Golden Knights, he then signed in Vancouver to be a middle to bottom six center, and he had crazy chemistry with Garland and Joshua. That third line was one of the best lines in the NHL. When you ignore the fact that they scored on almost every single shot that they had, Blueger was a really big part of that. Dakota Joshua, he was a total dog, and Connor Garland was the glue that held it all together. 28 points in 68 games played for Blueger's first and, I'm going to go out there and say, best Vancouver Canucks season. He had 26 points in 82 games last year, but the team sucked, so we could give him the pass. And then this year, he has only played 3 games. He had scored a goal, which is nice, but Blueger not being available was always going to hinder whether or not he was going to be a trade option. Now, he did play against the Washington Capitals. That was his first game back ever since October. So, yeah, it was nice to see him and his big, bright yellow mouthguard sticking out there on the bench one more time. But Teddy Blueger, contract's expiring, 31 years old. There's no way this is a guy Vancouver is going to have on their team by the time the trade deadline has come and gone. He'll probably be out sometime earlier, maybe even before the Olympic break. Who knows? He's going to go over and play for Team Latvia because he's one of the best Latvian players in the NHL. Maybe he does so not representing Vancouver as his main source of employment. Maybe he's already traded. Maybe a team like Pittsburgh or something. Maybe a team like Montreal or Detroit or whomever wants a very solid middle to bottom six center, which I don't know if you would if you're Montreal specifically already got Philippe Deneau. Okay, I take that back. I'm just filling in the blanks with some of my favorite teams here. But Teddy Blueger, out of these 3, can probably provide the most value. He is versatile. He can win faceoffs. He is a penalty killer. He is a defensively responsible guy, and he makes any team's middle to bottom six better. Maybe you don't want to have him as your top 6 guy. That probably indicates a lack of center depth. But still, Theodorus Blueger is pretty good. I would like to see him get a good return for the Canucks. Maybe a second-round pick? That'd be cool. Kiefer Sherwood went for 2 seconds. Why can't Blueger? Blueger can go for 1, at the very least. Although, yeah, no, him not being available definitely reduces the level of value he can receive in a trade. David Kampf this season has been whatever. I mean, 31 years old, he terminated his contract with the Toronto Maple Leafs to sign a 1-year short-term deal with Vancouver. At the time, he was first-line center because Vancouver had nobody playing center. Yeah, that was kind of a joke, kind of not. I mean, Vancouver had very big center problems throughout the course of this season, so David Kampf's presence was very much needed. It's not like his ice time went up or down in a pretty significant way either. I mean, he started out playing 14, 13, 16 minutes with Vancouver, and now he's playing 14, 15, 16 minutes with Vancouver. Nothing's really changed except for the fact that he's got 3 assists in his last 2 games, which is good for Kampf, I guess. He's getting back into the mix and back into the speed of things. But he's listed here as a face-off specialist, a PK specialist, and a role player. Honestly, if David Kampf is in your lineup as a Stanley Cup contending team, you better hope that your top-tier guys are really pulling the weight, because I don't really think that David Kampf moves the needle much as a Stanley Cup championship contender piece. Even as a fourth-line player, like, sure, penalty kill, defensively minded specialist, whatever, I would take Teddy Blueger instead, but maybe that's just because I still remember a lot of what Blueger was able to do in the past. David Kampf, however, had his best days in the NHL with Toronto multiple years ago. 22-23 saw him put up 27 points in 82 games. He just did not have that swagger this season, which is why he was chilling in the AHL, disappointed and frustrated, only for him to ask to get terminated and become a free agent. And then you have Evander Kane, a guy whom I think a lot of us Canucks fans are just super done with. I was a lot more optimistic on the idea of trading for the guy because all the best parts of his game I thought would provide a really nice element of extra value for the Vancouver Canucks, either with his physicality. You also talk about the scoring, the goals. There was some potency there with Evander Kane the past little while. Even last year in the playoffs, he was half a point a game. Now, this season, he is actually just under half a point a game, but you wouldn't know it if you look at just the way this guy is talked about on social media. The way this guy fumbles the bag, he fumbles plays, he passes it back to nobody. He does so many careless things on the ice, yet he's still able to find production. It's been a very weird season for Evander Kane, and he's making so much money. It's like, the Vancouver Canucks really helped out the Oilers by freeing up that $5.125 million contract from their playbook up until the end of this season. If Evander Kane can get something, at the very least a 4th-round pick, from a team like LA that's already been apparently interested in this guy, then be my guest. Let Evander Kane and Corey Perry and Yoel Armia terrorize some other team in the Stanley Cup playoffs this year. It just doesn't have to be Vancouver, because obviously the Canucks are not going to make the playoffs this year. Just let the Kings get Kane. Ken Holland can bring all his buddies back and try to get this old boys club going down there with the Kings. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Out of Teddy Blueger, David Kampf, and Evander Kane, who gets the most in a trade return? Interesting question, right? Where do you think the Vancouver Canucks accrue the most value out of? According to Thomas Drance, none of these guys are players that factor into Vancouver's plans beyond the deadline. So if any one of these guys are still a Canuck by the time March 7th comes around, I'm going to be a pretty ticked off Canucks fan. I don't know about you. You can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Sign on. And bye.